Hello. You are likely familiar with the deadline to apply for the Child Care Provider Expansion Initiative. This deadline was December 31, 2022 for desert and infant-only applications, and will be November 30, 2023 for employer partnership applications. However, there are also deadlines to provide our team with additional documentation needed to process your application. So today we are going to review the deadlines for submitting Child Care Provider Expansion Initiative application materials and supporting documentation. Specifically, we will be reviewing the deadline for applicants to submit their proof of a secured location, the location where they will be operating their new or expanded child care business, their employer partnership agreement, for those that are applying in this category, and finally, the new or modified HHSC CCR permit indicating that you've implemented your proposed business plan. First, let's talk about proof of location. Why do you need to submit proof of your new child care business's location as part of your application? The first reason is that this is a competitive grant process and applicants are required to prove that they have a viable business plan in order to receive funding. Not only does proof that your location is secured let us know that you are moving forward with opening or expanding your business, but this key detail helps us to understand what the total number of children you can care for may be and what the demand for your services is in that area, which will in turn affect your staffing needs, your budget, your timeline, and more. Having a secured location also shows us that you are eligible to move through the funding process, as only those who are actively opening or expanding a child care business within the approved eligibility categories are able to receive funding. And speaking of funding, your location also confirms your zip code and provider type, both of which are used to calculate your award. So when do you need to submit your proof of location? If you were in the process of finding a location at the time you applied, you might need to provide your proof of location separately from the rest of your application materials. For desert and infant-only applicants, the deadline to submit this information to our team is July 1, 2023. For employer partnership applicants, this deadline is December 31, 2023. It is important to note that this is the deadline for submitting your document to the Expansion Initiative team, not the deadline for securing your location. Your documents must be in our hands by these dates. You may wonder what counts as proof of location. Proof of location must be something signed by both parties, such as a lease or purchase agreement. A letter of intent, which is non-binding, will allow your application to be approved on the condition that we also receive a signed and binding lease or purchase agreement. Sometimes deals can fall through and plans can change, and location is a critical detail and a major factor in reviewing your business plan. Until there is proof that you've officially settled on a location and you have a binding agreement in place, please note that your application cannot be fully processed nor can funding be distributed. Next, let's talk about the Employer Partnership Agreement. This is the document that shows your business has entered into an agreement with a local business or businesses to offer care for the children of their employees. For applicants that are applying as an employer partnership, this document is required as proof of your eligibility to receive funding. Employer partnership applicants must submit this information to the Expansion Initiative team by December 31, 2023. So what does this agreement need to include? First, it must be a written agreement with at least one local employer to provide care for their employees. Your agreement should describe the services you are offering, including ages served and other details of the program, as well as the location of your business and the employer or employers. It must also outline the projected need of the families employed at the local business or businesses, such as the number of families or children needing care. The document should outline the terms of your agreement, or what each party will be offering and receiving. Finally, the document needs to be signed by all parties. Your HHSC CCR permit from Child Care Regulation is required for you to operate your child care business. Why do we need this as part of your application materials? Well, your child care regulation permit is necessary to receive your initial operating award, the award you will receive after you have opened or expanded your child care business. While startup awards are calculated based on your proposed business plan, initial operating awards are calculated based on the actual capacity you created after implementing your plan. We are required to have proof of the quantity and type of capacity created at your child care business and need the information to accurately calculate your award amount. Desert and infant-only applicants must submit their child care regulation permit by November 1, 2023. Employer partnership applicants must submit theirs by February 1, 2024. Your document should be a copy of your initial or actual license showing your new capacity. We can also accept copies of your HHSC acceptance letter. However, inspection reports are not considered proof of the approval of your license. What does this mean for desert and infant-only applicants? What this means is, after your initial application was received by December 31, 2022, all requested pieces of your application and supporting documentation must also be submitted by July 1, 2023. While you can continue to receive coaching after this date to refine your materials, any applications with missing application components or supporting documentation will be declined after this deadline. The only piece that can be received after this date is your new or modified permit, showing that your business has expanded or opened. Desert and infant-only applicants must supply their license by November 1, 2023. Again, applicants who are unable to provide their new or modified permit by this date will not be eligible to receive an initial operating award. Now, what does this mean for employer partnership applicants? Initial applications are due by November 30, 2023. After that, all requested pieces of your application and supporting documentation must also be submitted by December 31, 2023. Again, you can continue to receive coaching after this date to refine your materials. However, any applications with missing application components or supporting documentation will be declined after this deadline. The only piece that can be received after this date is your new or modified permit, showing that your business has expanded or opened. If you applied for the expansion initiative as an employer partnership applicant, you will need to submit your permit by February 1, 2024. Again, applicants who are unable to provide their new or modified permit by this date will not be eligible to receive an initial operating award. As you plan ahead, it is important to note that ultimately applicants are responsible for submitting their application materials and supporting documentation by their respective deadlines. And remember, these are the deadlines to submit your documentation, meaning our team needs to have them in hand. To make sure you don't miss any requests for additional information and documentation, be sure to check your email on a regular basis and respond as quickly as you are able. If you are not sure if anything is missing, you can always email expansion@civstrat.com for more information.